Hello, beautiful lovers of the world. Today, I am so pleased to welcome Rachel Russo, a matchmaker based in Princeton, New Jersey, where all the men are brilliant and good looking. And she is going to talk to us about matchmaking and how to find a partner and also her incredible journey to becoming a mom. So we are just so pleased to have you here today. Rachel, I don't know why I said we because I'm just one person, but all of our guests. Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Amazing. And my best friends made me say, if you like this show, please like and subscribe and comment so we can grow and change the world and fill it with love. Thank you. Okay, so Rachel, there is a link on your website that says how to find your match like a matchmaker. And I'm so curious to dive right into this. I guess, first of all, I just want to know like what makes a gem of a man? Because I'm, a straight woman looking for a man. And like what makes a gem of a man? And like if you were going out today to find your ideal match, what steps would you use?
Hmm. Okay, really juicy, important questions to dive
Guys,
right
you write
into.
it. I'm taking notes in the true
Well,
little book.
I think when we talk about a gem of a man, there's two factors. One is just a gem in general, like a relationship oriented, healthy, emotionally intelligent, good guy. Right? Who could just be a gem for anyone. And then
Does
there's
such
a
a creature
gem.
exist?
I hope so. I think so. Then there's a gem specifically for you or myself
Mm.
or any of our listeners, somebody who just matches you like perfectly,
Mhm.
compliments you and not compliments you, but compliments you and has
Yeah.
those traits that
Yes, with an
balance you
E.
out and bring out trust in you, like for life and partnership and love and romance, marriage, family, like whatever you want, that person that aligns with like your vision for your love life.
Mhm.
So it's going to look different for different people.
Yeah.
And that would actually influence the strategy, as I call it, of what you should do to go out and find this gem of a man. So like, can we do a practical example? Can I ask
Yes, I
you?
love that. Please use me as an example. And also, I just want to add, I am an open book. I decided I'm just going to share every intimate, embarrassing thing about myself so all the other people watching can benefit. And we're about half
Oh,
women watching, half men. I have no idea why. And
that's
so, yeah,
awesome.
so
Cool.
ask me, like, let's pretend I'm your client and let's go to
Okay.
town.
I mean, transparency is like best. And that is totally how I operate personally and with my clients. I do believe like how you do something is how you do everything to a very large extent. So I will do the same. I'm inspired by your authenticity here. So I
Yes.
will start out, I guess, asking you to just give me like the basics. If I had to ask you, the basics like age range, perhaps like religion, politics, all those dicey topics. Like
Sure.
who are you looking for if it was on paper, like those basic criteria of the guy?
Absolutely. So for me, I do want someone who's open to having kids.
Mhm.
I froze my eggs when I was 40. There's like a 50% chance of them actually turning into babies. And I also still am fertile. So I have maybe like 9 or 10% chance of being naturally pregnant right now if I meet my guy tomorrow. So I want someone who's open to kids. I'm totally fine if they already have kids.
Mhm.
And they should also be open to the possibility of not having kids because, it's a
If it
50
doesn't work.
thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's kind of like they have to be willing to do what I wanna do in the kids department pretty much. And then I think that for me, age is not so important as not your, number age, but your age in terms of your spirit, your body. I want someone who's healthy, emotionally mature, happy. There's just such a huge range in men. I met someone my age who looked about 70 last week. And, if
Uh-huh.
you were going to match me with someone like, I don't know, Javier Bardem, who's 15 years older than me, it'd be heck yes. So,
Yeah.
so I think that, in general, probably 10 years younger, 10 years older is about right. And then in terms of religion, and politics, I'm not selective. I do have very Making the world a better place, kindness, compassion, sustainability are very important values to me.
Mhm.
And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat as long as you bring open-mindedness and compassion to your approach to life and somewhat of an based approach. I mean, at this point, if you don't believe climate change is real, I don't think I can really take you seriously as a
It's
person.
real. Look outside.
So if you are obsessed with hating on trans people, it just
Yeah,
I can't take you seriously as a person, you know, it's just too closed-minded. When I was
definitely.
traveling in Italy this summer, I met a lot of guys who just had this kind of very negative view of women in dating and that felt like unchangeable, you know, and I was willing to listen to them, but it just seemed they were not open to any viewpoint besides their own. So I think, you know, of course I would probably do better with kind of a left-wing guy, but if a guy is Republican and conservative, but you know, it's, "Oh, I'm more fiscally conservative. I think everybody should have resources. Oh, I'm willing to listen to your point of view." Great.
Yeah.
In terms of
Okay.
yeah. So that's kind of I'm very flexible around those points, but I do you know,
Yeah.
physically, I think, you know, like anybody, I like someone with a healthy body, you know, I like nice strong shoulders and, you know, but I you know, height, it's fine. I'm 5'5", so it's not really hard to find someone taller than me.
Okay.
5'4" and okay, is that a
So
good answer?
I'm kind of just like absorbing all of your criteria. I have a few comments then that would influence like my overall strategy if I were working with you. First off,
Okay.
as an aside, I just wanted to say, as an Italian American, I'm very disappointed to hear this about the Italian men from Italy, although I know it's different there. I've traveled there as well. But I think rigidity, no matter like what your culture, ethnicity, is a very undesirable trait for
Yes,
relationships.
and honestly, it's
Um,
like a sample of 2 or 3 guys I
Sure.
dated. I can't it's not
Yes,
generic, and Italy is so diverse in terms of so
exactly. We don't
order.
wanna stereotype by any means. You sound like a very open-minded person. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that. But I think that you need someone who is flexible for sure.
Mm,
And there's flexibility in what you're describing because, you know, you're open. Like, yes, I think someone who leans left is best for you based on that description, but there's always exceptions. So you're open to that. You're not rigid there. You're flexible on age.
totally.
You're 5'5". You know, I have women that come to my matchmaking agency that are 5'2" or 5'3", and they're like, "I want someone who's 6 foot." Well, I relate to that. However, there's such a small percentage of men that are 6 foot, and you can wear heels. And, you know, there are some men that don't want such a huge height difference as well. So I'm 5'10". Like, leave the, you know, tall guys to the tall girls sometimes, right? You have
Absolutely.
possibilities open. You don't have to feel awkward dating someone who's 5'10" because he's still gonna be taller than you with or without shoes. So I'm glad that you get that at this point of life.
Yeah, at 44, you
Sometimes,
kind
you
of
know,
understand that yeah, I mean, I'm dating a
yeah,
person right now.
you know,
Yeah,
strategy for dating is all about knowing your priorities, your needs versus your wants. Like, what is actually a preference? What is going to contribute to your happiness and what isn't? So, you know, I think when people are younger, they tend to focus more on this is a generalization, but they tend to focus more on the superficial criteria. So, you know, obviously in your 40s, things are shifting. Your primary goal that you're telling me is like to find someone who is family oriented that wants to at least try to see if, you know, you can make this baby dream come true, whether it's through IVF or whether it's naturally, or if it's someone who already has children and you just want to go right into that stepmom role or just be involved in a family. So my strategy for you would be, okay, you might not like
I
this,
forgot
but
one
we'll
thing that's really important. I realized
sure.
as you were saying this, is that I am so physical, and I just when I first started dating, I just assumed every guy was gonna be really physical, and it's not necessarily the case. I love physical touch. I mean, I love sex, I love cuddling, and that was the
Mhm.
biggest problem in my last relationship is that my boyfriend was an alcoholic, and he stopped wanting to have sex ever, and
Oh,
it's just I don't I it's just that does not work for me.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. That's
Yeah,
definitely like
well, you
something
know.
that when I coach people, I absolutely, you know, it's pop culture now, but look at the 5 love languages and make sure people are aligned on that physical touch and how they show affection. So Very
Yes.
hard to see people with addiction issues and absolutely
Yeah.
interferes with sex. So don't meet your next at a bar.
Yes,
Let's keep
I
that
knew
in
he
mind.
was finding it sober, but yeah, but I also wanted to say it just occurred to me as we were talking that so my best friend is not a physical touch person, but because we have so much love between us, she will like give me a hug sometimes because she knows that I need that to feel
Oh,
loved, you know?
that's
And
sweet.
and I think that type of energy, but I realized that, for me, I like words of affirmation. I love it when a man says, "Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so smart," is really interested in my company. But I can deal without that. I can't deal without the physical touch thing. So that's
Mm.
kind of
That's
interesting.
your primary love language.
I think
So this
so,
is
yeah.
something that if you're going to a matchmaker, we can screen for that. We ask that in advance. If you're dating on your own, this can be one of your screening questions that you ask early on because this is something that would probably be a deal breaker if you do not feel that and you don't feel like that love like coming from your partner through physical touch. So, okay, so that's
Okay.
important. Yes. Okay, so what I was gonna get at is that I said you might not love this, but I know you talked about wanting to date 10 years younger. I would
I said I'm
probably
open to it. I
you're
didn't say
open to
I
it. I
wanted
shouldn't
to
why.
date
10
10.
years younger and also older. My
Yes.
mind just went to like no to 10 years younger because these men are gonna be at such a different place.
Mm,
The problem is that I would be worried about is that first of all, a lot of the men are not gonna be, like, on your level in terms of, like, readiness to settle down and commit
yeah.
to having a family. Again, there's exceptions, but generally, this is what I see, especially in the New York City tri-state area and major cities. I know people are from all over, but generalizing in cities, professionals, like, they're not ready at 30 years old, and if
Can I
they
ask?
are, they're chasing 25-year-olds. So there's that,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the
that
only
makes
the other
sense.
thing is that they probably want to have if they do wanna have children, you want someone who wants to have children,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, the relationship's gonna end if they really wanna have biological children. So I think it's
Absolutely.
kind of setting yourself up for disappointment to look for that, but if it came along organically and someone was an exception, sure, you can entertain it. Maybe more like 5 years younger would be more likely to find someone who is aligned, and more established in their career and ready for family. Now, you
Mm.
don't wanna go too old either. So this is the tricky part about dating in your 40s because it's very
Yeah.
possible if you're dating early 50s or a little older, these men already have children. A lot of them are out of the nest. They're in college. The men have been like paying off their tuition and they're ready to travel, take weekend getaways. They don't want to go back to diapers. Now, there are exceptions of men who love kids and, want this. And it comes more with wealth and not necessarily worrying about like, how am I going to afford another child?
Yes, okay, I
Like,
just have to say something because it's so funny because I feel like I'm finally emotionally mature enough to bring in an ideal partner, but this is the worst age to try to find somebody. That's
well,
where magic comes in, right? The magic
yeah,
matters.
I hear you. It definitely is a hard age because of these factors. Who is ideal for a woman in her 40s? Maybe it's someone that's closer to your age that, if you want to have a child, you want the father to have energy for that child and feel wanted, not just like, oh, she wanted a child and like, I'm just here
Yeah.
because she wanted one. So, you really have to kind of do your screening and your vetting. But on the positive, you probably know yourself so much better than you did in your 20s and 30s. You're
Yeah.
clear on what you want and don't want and who you are. And statistically, you'd be less likely to get a divorce than if you married younger. So, there is that.
Yeah,
There
totally.
is so I'm thinking that you need to attract people who either already have kids and are like in that lifestyle, but ideally have younger kids. People that didn't like marry their high school sweetheart and have been together 20 years with teenagers and college kids, but more like younger children. So they're still in that dad mode. So
Mm.
where do you find these type of guys who
Yes,
already
where
have
do
kids
you
or
find
might
it?
be open? Um, it's interesting. I just made a note in my phone. I was following a LinkedIn post from one of my matchmaking colleagues who is a male dating coach who I've known for many years. And he commented on another colleague's post and said he's organized in New Jersey
Is
a
this
dad.
Todd Etheridge?
He, oh, you know him.
Yes.
Did you just talk to him?
To
You
read
know
it,
where this is
I saw the
going?
because it was on Maria the
Oh,
match.
you saw it. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, you figured this out. I was trying to be discreet. It was Maria of Agave Match. She's a matchmaker that I've known for many years, like well known in New York. So had commented, and I meant to text Hunt to follow up because he says he has a dad group of 200 men. And I was thinking, like, whoa, how many of these
Whoa,
men are
really?
single? No, I
Yeah.
assume a lot of them are married, but some are definitely divorced, and they're all in the tri-state area because he lives in Jersey City, so they're Hoboken, they're all around, probably some from the city itself. So I would say, you need to figure that out to connect with these people, align with these people. I'm happy to see if there's anyone for you through him because I was
Oh,
going to do
Rachel,
that
I love that. You
anyway.
know, it's so
And with
ironic.
the
It's really ironic because my company is it's a homeschooling company, so
yes,
all
I
of
saw
the
that.
clients are parents, but I don't know, maybe
Mhm.
I don't know. I kind of regret doing this, but I actually said, "Okay, if I'm really serious about finding someone, I need to be brave," and I emailed my entire list of 5,000 people, but nobody
Oh,
came.
like to tell them that you're looking and can they introduce you or potentially,
Yes!
hmm. Now, okay, I wouldn't say you should do it. I would say you should
Did
have
it!
some
I did it! I regret it.
Oh, you did it. Okay, I was gonna say, like, you could hire a coach. Like, if you were my client, I would do that for you so that I can, like, talk for you and sort of be your publicist and, kind of be like, "Okay, she spent all this time, like, teaching people, like, the skills, how to homeschool and be amazing through her company, and now it's like she's looking for her own partner."
There
So
you
give
go.
back to the community, to get people to sort of be like your love agents, if you will, that are
Mhm.
like out and about that have eyes open for you. I
Mm.
always think that sometimes the best way to meet is through friends, but our friends just don't know anyone or they don't make it a priority or they want to set us up, but they're afraid to get involved. But I think that's brave that you did that. It's really, you're putting yourself out there, you're putting the energy out there.
Thank
And I think there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, there's women in San Francisco that take out billboards and spend millions of dollars to like make
What do I
websites.
have to lose? It's my list, and I'll email it however I want.
That's right. That's
Oh my
right. So good
gosh.
for
Yeah, I
you.
guess so. Okay, Rachel. So let's slow down a little bit here because you've given me so much. It's like you have so much wisdom and insight and practical tips, and I want to make sure we give each
Thank you.
yep its proper attention. So I'm curious about this dad group thing. I do think that it is an interesting and a good strategy. I know there are some high quality dads in my community. Some of them I don't really want to date someone who's going through a divorce. I've kind of been
Yeah.
there, been the
Mhm.
best friend. Ugh, annoying. But yeah, I think sometimes women can get in this dynamic where they're just talking all the time with some guy who's going through a divorce, and that man is using them as almost like a
Yeah.
therapist. And I've been
Right.
there, my mom's been there. It's the worst. So
Sure.
yeah, so I want to wait until after they're properly divorced. But I'm kind of wondering, so there's these dads groups. So you can ask someone in a dads group if they know someone. Okay, so then in terms of asking your friends, I'm really curious about the right strategy here because so I work in um I have a tech company, so I know a ton of investors, I know a ton of high level engineers and people who know, successful men in the tech industry. I don't know that I necessarily love these techie guys, but I'm
Mhm.
curious, I mean, it feels just a little too much to go up to my investor and say, "Hey, do you know like he's a best-selling author?" I mean, it's just weird to say, "Do you know anyone who"
Yeah.
I mean, I could do some of that with maybe some kind of other more casual connections. I mean, how do you actually go about
Sure.
it? Yeah.
So, the people that I work with, not just for matchmaking, but for coaching as well, that want to do something really proactive, that have a network, but are kind of like a little hesitant to go there, just like you. And that's totally understandable because sometimes there's that unwritten rule of like not mixing business and pleasure. But I think you can if done the right way. So I try to guide people how to do it in a way that does not feel embarrassing, that feels authentic, does not put pressure. So, something I like to do because we're all so busy, and I'm sure these successful men, entrepreneurs, investors are busy, you have to first of all make it as easy as possible for them. So perhaps you would put together like a little email, not a long email, just a few bullet points about you and about what you're looking for. And then you can draft a simple email asking them to forward this to anyone that they know that might know a single guy for you. And a lot of times the best matches actually come through women. I hate to say that men are not like looking to match people, but I've seen more success through female friends,
Okay, can I
through
just say this? They have terrible taste. Like, men have terrible taste in other
oh,
women. It just never ceases to astound me. Like, are
yeah,
you kidding?
and they're not necessarily looking at it the same way that a woman would, evaluating like, they might think he's a great guy, but is he a great guy for you? Is he the gem for you? And then on the other hand, like, myself personally, I'm currently single. I could talk about that more if you want, but this is not about me, this is about
No.
you. But I'm using this as an example because I have guy friends who I've known forever, and I think they have access to successful guys that I wanna date, but they know these guys so well, and they say to me, like, "Oh, I don't know anyone I would set you up with. They're not good enough for you," or, "Oh, I would keep him far away. If I had a sister, he would never touch my sister." So I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, "Oh my gosh, are these bad guys?" Or it's just that my friends know the history of like everyone they dated and everyone they hooked up with, and they wanna like protect me. So
True.
I think that sometimes men do not wanna go there and introduce other men, but their wives, their girlfriends, like, they may know the great single guy, the brother-in-law, the neighbor, the colleague, whatever. So you
Yeah.
kinda have to get to the women. That's what I would suggest, unless there's men that are the exceptions. Go through the women. Every woman probably knows some guy that's like a decent guy that she went on a date with, maybe became friends with, wasn't romantically attracted to, felt no chemistry, but is like, "This is a good guy. He's just not for me." That's the kind of guy that you wanna get to. So I would say to draft this email, ask the well-connected people that you know to forward it, to pass it on, and that's it. Just make an introduction.
Okay. I don't know if I'm ready for the email. It sounds way too much like my fundraising efforts, but
Okay.
like
A
send
text
this
message? Can you
report
start
all
with like a
day.
simple text, like send a photo and your basic
I
right.
just have this
Wait,
trauma of
Valentine's
my
Day is
best.
coming up. Like do something for Valentine's Day.
True. Oh, that could be kind of fun. No, but I mean, I just have these traumatic memories of sending. It's the whole thing is you send an investor an email and they say, "Oh, can you send a better forwardable? Here's a blog about forwardables." And then you have to revise the whole thing and then they're sending it
Oh,
out again. And oh my God. Anyway,
let
but
it
I think
last.
that, I really like this insight into women because when I first started doing this, I felt like I need to start going to more male dominated activities and meet more men. And I went to this CrossFit class, which turned out to be kind of a fake CrossFit, like an illegal CrossFit
Really?
gym. And
Oh,
I was doing squats and it was a woman instructor. And for some reason, she kept insisting that I could go lower. I was holding this 20-kilogram barbell. And I said, I really can't. She said, yes, you can. You're just afraid of falling. And I said, no, I really am going to fall. And she
oh,
nudged me and I fell over and landed on my C7. Then while I was
oh,
on the ground stunned, she handed the barbell to me and it landed on my head. And I've
oh
been
my
wearing
god.
one of those neck braces because I sprained my neck. I went to the hospital.
Oh, sorry to hear that. It's terrible.
It's okay, but it was a sign for me from the universe that that was not the best approach, and then I had this guy friend, well, kind of an acquaintance, he knows a ton of people, and I had him see if he knew any single guys. He introduced me to his best friend, and it was such a wrong fit, and I couldn't the guy is like a chain smoker and this
Oh,
driver, which is fine, but it's just he didn't speak a word of English.
okay. This doesn't sound like it's
It
for
was
you.
just not a fit, and I just felt so terrible because my friend had gone to this effort to introduce me to his very best friend, and
Yeah.
it was just I mean, I even went on a date, and I was gonna go on a second date just because I felt so bad, but I ended up not doing that. But anyway, my point is, I really feel like this idea, like, I can continue to go to women's activities and leverage my women contacts, but I was also thinking maybe even better to leverage married women because I
Mhm.
feel like if you're married to a great guy, it's not like you've already rejected the guy because he's not a good fit for you. It might just be you're not dating him because 'cause you're married.
That's true.
And
It might be like a friend of the husband's
yeah,
that she's gotten to know well. I guess you want to look for couples that are still social, that still go out and maintain friendship networks and don't just like fall into the married life and never go out. But they're out there, they exist, they have date nights. So look for those. And just a word about what you're sharing. I do think going out in real life is very much the trend right now because there's so much fatigue with the dating apps. I'm
Yes.
not saying totally don't do dating apps if it feels like okay and tolerable and not dysregulating and horrible, then you can do them. But I would say to do them in conjunction with something else that you actually enjoy. And in terms of going out in real life,
Like
it
eating
should be
chocolate while you do them or hanging out with a friend or something?
say that again.
Like you were saying in conjunction with something you enjoy. So you should be like eating chocolate or hanging out
Oh,
with a friend or
yeah. Well, that's a good point. So you don't necessarily, I do have a strategy for dating apps. You don't necessarily have to do the fun thing at the same time, but that can make it more tolerable. But I guess I'm suggesting taking a 2 or 3 tiered approach to dating where apps are a part of it for most people, because the reality is that's how they're going to have access to the most single available people at their fingertips. But I feel like you should go out into the world and do things where you can shine and be your best self. And if it's not CrossFit, if it's not pickleball, if it's not, I don't know what people do nowadays, but don't do it. If it's something like if you love cooking classes and you
pickleball.
want a man who's into food and likes to cook and is into culture, then go to the cooking classes. Hudson Table opened up in Princeton, and I'm so excited about it. And they do like cooking classes, and I feel like that would be a good place to send clients that are looking for that. So, think outside the box with activities.
Amazing. All right. There's so many different things in what you just said that I want to dive
Mhm.
into a little bit more deeply. So, okay, when we talk about, oh my gosh, the time is flying too. When we talk about, okay, where should we start? We have dating apps in real life. We were talking about asking for introductions from married couples who are married wives who are social. And I think even I'm going to make a list. I've been planning to make a list of kind of people who I think are really great husbands and then asking their wives for interest. Okay, so this is the issue with in real life and dating apps. And I find this pickleball thing so hilarious. I have to come back to it. In the real life, in the real life, um, and on dating apps, I think there is a problem, which is that you don't have the luxury to get to know someone over time. And
Yeah.
I think this is where the most annoying dating advice comes from, which is if you're bored with the guy on the first date, go on a second date, because people, especially younger women, expect this instant chemistry, and it might just not be there for a woman on the first date or even the second
Mhm.
date. And for me, I usually try to go with a neutral um, thing. But I remembered when I was in high school, I had an insane crush on this guy. I mean, I was completely obsessed with him. He did not comport himself as a good human being. I will say that. I mean, this is a guy who was dating two different women on campus, whatever. When I first met this guy, I thought he was so ugly, like really gross. And I think he was maybe a little flirting with me. I don't know. And for a whole year, I kind of just thought about this guy this way. It's just not attractive. And then about a year in, we got in some kind of argument and he came over and apologized to me. And something just woke up in me and I developed this mad insane crush on this guy. And other times in my life that I've been attracted to someone like a boss or someone else, I've known them for a really long time before that
Mhm.
happened. So all of this to say, it's really tough even when someone's making an introduction to you, and I fear that I would, look over someone good. So how can you kind of give yourself that period of getting to know someone, especially if you're not initially attracted to them? Are there certain activities you recommend doing with someone as you start to get to know them?
Yeah, first of all, I totally agree with you. And I think if you can find activities or ways to meet people that include frequency, consistency, like a class, like say it was a yoga class, for instance, a co ed yoga class, and you see them over 6 weeks and you're going back there and seeing the same familiar face, that familiarity breeds interest.
Yeah.
You have to have time to get to know them. And the same applies for an introduction through someone. So I do like a first date to be something where you can actually talk and figure out if you're even aligned in terms of your values and if you like each other and if you can have a conversation. Because let's face it, if you're together, you're going to be talking often over meals and drinks a lot for the rest of your life. So you better enjoy each other on the first date. But after that, I think it can't just be every date is the same thing going to a restaurant, because nothing new is growing and happening at that table unless you have a really strong connection initially. So if you're kind of on the fence about a guy, which I think a lot of women are, I've been there personally too. Honestly, did not even like some of my ex-boyfriends on the first or second date, but they are exes. So there's that. But they grown on me. And it sounds like the same for you with your example. So I believe that can happen for women. I think men work a little differently because they're not as forgiving. They need that physical spark and attraction very early on, but women value that less overall. So I think that you need to see a man in different scenarios and maybe activities where you can bond, where the adrenaline is going. That is proven, that novelty is proven to breed attraction. So doing things that you enjoy with that person and maybe having discussions like after a show or going to a museum or something that can get you really talking on a deeper level besides the typical small date first date small talk, second date small talk. Tends to be like the same thing over and over if you date a lot, and that's why I think people hate dating the early stages of dating. They want to just jump to the relationship where they don't have to do that. So try to get past that small talk by really bonding in unique ways and doing different things together.
I love it. Okay, this is a weird question about sex. So, as I told you, physical touch is one of my love languages. And I find I have this pattern where it's okay, first date, I feel kind of neutral to this guy, but I should go on a second date. Whoa, he really likes me. That's kind of attractive to me. Then we're on our second date, and, it's the second date, we're making out. And I just really wanna sleep with this guy, but I just know that if I sleep with him, it is a bad idea because it's just of course, people have one night stands that develop into relationships, but I know, like, women's bodies and men's bodies operate differently, and in my experience, often when I sleep with a guy, his passion kinda subsides for a little bit or forever, shall we say, and I get incredibly attached to him regardless of his personality. I just become blind. And so I feel like I'm always in this situation where I'm forcing myself not to follow my body's carnal desires. And it just ends up feeling really awkward. Like we're there making out, and I'm like, I don't want to sleep with you. Oh, why not? Because then I'll get attached to you. I mean, it's so every time it's just so uncomfortable and forced and awkward. And I would like this prolonging to just feel a little more natural and organic. Tips?
Mhm. Yeah. That makes sense. So I guess the question is, should you listen to reason and everything that you know that's telling you like men are going to attach differently because of our wiring and oxytocin and all of that. They might not be as invested as you are. Um, and also to your point about kind of like the love goggles and the blindness that results in sleeping together at times. So it's like, should you protect yourself from that, or should you just be like, oh, let's give in to like what I want physically, and if it's meant to be, it'll be. Because there's like examples where it does work out, and if it's the right person, he's not going to get away. So there's like two sides to this. So I guess you're asking what you should follow.
Well, I think I know what to follow, which is don't sleep with him, but
Yeah.
I just don't know how to do it in a way that feels less awkward. It just I don't know, the
Yeah.
whole interaction with it is so awkward, and I
It
just
is awkward. So is it because you feel you owe an explanation,
it's
and you don't like the explanation or what?
I mean, it's because I feel like it's hard to know when to stop, like, in a way.
Yeah.
And I've definitely gone too far and then just
Mhm.
stopped right before penetration. Like,
Men do not
just
like that.
listening to
Like,
this.
they almost would rather, like, not do
My
that
mind is
than
gonna
get to that point of no return, and then you just stop.
if you're enjoying this show, please like and subscribe. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think that it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's like, okay, that's too much, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, a nice guy is not gonna care, but I feel like almost I've had those experiences where I've let it get everything except penetration, and then the guy kind of loses interest afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good thing. But then I also feel like crap. And then you start feeling these artificial rules like nothing below the waist. And then it's just, I don't know, it just feels so weird and forced. And I just, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you build upon something like, okay, it's the second date. We've been to second base. So then on the third date, we go to second base again. Oh my God. Am I in middle school? I don't know.
I know it sounds very middle school, like, what is the protocol? Like, it doesn't sound organic. I don't think you have to follow strict rules because it's going to be different for every person. But, like, what is the point of your interactions, right? It sounds like it's because you're looking for something serious, that you want to build a relationship, you want to build a family. So ask yourself, if you are laser focused on your goal, is hooking up with this guy, no matter what base or whatever, is this going to get you to the goal or not? If the answer is no, if there's still like an emotional investment that needs to happen, you still need to vet him and screen him more. I really don't think it's going to help to do this on a second or third date. Like, if you are not sure about chemistry, that can kind of come down the road a little bit later, I think, where you test out the chemistry. But first, he has to be like completely vetted. Like, is he a good guy? Does he like you? Does he care about you? How do you know that? Or is he just in this for the physical? I think you need to know him over time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to sound prude, but you cannot sleep with everyone that wants to sleep with you.
You cannot.
I
You
mean, that's my
cannot.
moral compass. And
To
also
collect
that may sound
venereal diseases, you can just
arrogant, right? But maybe if you explained it to men in a more fun and lighthearted way, you like made it flirtatious and playful, which is the truth. Like, think about all the dates you could possibly go on. You're not going to sleep with everyone. You're not going to feel good about that, most likely. Now, some people might, no judgment, but most people would not feel good about that.
no, not that's not me at all. I think it's, maybe 1 in 100. It's not if I don't wanna sleep with him, there's no problem. It's just when I do wanna sleep with him that it starts feeling so awkward.
Discipline. You got to have some discipline. That's
So
what I have to
just go
say.
to second base on several recurring dates without feel I get afraid I'm leading people on. Maybe it's because 'cause I've had some bad experiences in the past of men saying I led them on or something.
Yeah. Well,
Well, okay, change
mm,
the topic. So that's for the sexually explicit rating on Apple Podcasts, so we get lots of views. No, it seems doesn't even really result in that. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is, well, you did mention about dating app strategy.
yeah.
If you were to look for someone today, would you start with a dating app, and how would you navigate the dating apps?
Well, dating apps in 2026 are not what they were 10 years ago. I
Mhm.
think that people are sick of them overall. They are responding less frequently. There are people that are routinely getting hundreds of matches, say on an app like Bumble, and it's resulting in zero, zero dates, like
Yeah.
literally 500 matches. They boost their profile or whatever, spotlight, and they have a couple conversations. Within 2 weeks, they're off the app because it's like painful to be on. People don't respond, people ghost, there's negative energy, the politics, that it's just too much. So I do have an approach about how to navigate that. There's all different methods. You may have heard of like the burned haystack. There's Facebook groups about this. There's so much that has resulted for are we dating the same guy? Like in these cities where women are posting people to ward off predators and cheaters on the apps. Like so much has resulted from the negative interaction of these apps.
Wait, what's the
But
burn haystack? I don't know this term.
oh, look it up. It's a method that women are using that is helping them to focus on the right people. And there's like no, you know how you were saying you felt bad before about like the friend that set you up and like maybe going on a second date because you felt bad. There's none of that. It's like in this method, if someone does not fit your criteria, if they're not contacting you frequently, like you just delete and block and move on. And that's the way to preserve your energy because the idea is that there's just too many options and you cannot spend all your time on these apps. It's like misery. So I think my personal preference would be to just set a timer. Maybe it's 20 minutes a day, maybe it's 40 minutes broken up into 2 20-minute blocks, morning and night, or your lunchtime, like however much you can stand without feeling horrible and dysregulated. Set your timer, swipe, respond to messages, close the app, don't leave the notifications on. I think it just has to be like in your pocket as one dating strategy, but not the sole focus. No back and forth texting guys all the time. Don't meet anyone if you don't talk to them on the phone first. I have like kind of strict ideas about it. As you mentioned when we first started, I help women to learn how to vet like a matchmaker and find a gem of a man online. Like they're out there, but it's like a needle in a haystack, and you have to weed through all of the trash in order to find him. So it's like you need a protocol that works for you and you need discipline.
Absolutely. And Rachel, I mean, I think that you and I resonate in this way in that there you need to bring compassion to to this process. I mean, no one
Yeah.
is trash and everyone is good. Everyone has a
Right.
mother. Everyone was a baby at some time, even though men can behave themselves extremely badly.
You're right.
And I think that I used to not be willing to talk to a guy on the phone before a date. I would only meet up for a coffee. But now I'm actually FaceTiming people and calling them
Mhm.
first. But my problem is I just cannot bear the idea of hurting someone's feelings. So the idea of talking to someone on the phone and at the end of the call, the person saying, "Hey, so do you want to meet up for a coffee?" And me saying, "Hmm, I don't really feel like we're a fit." It's inconceivable to me. I would be devastated if someone said that to me. And I just would never, I would probably say, "Yeah, sounds great." And then afterwards send a text or something. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you sound like a very nice, caring person, and I hope I didn't sound awful by saying
No,
take out
you
the
did not, and the reason I kind of,
yes.
wanted to make it clear is because you seem like such a loving, empathetic
Oh,
person, so
thank you.
I wanted to really
Yeah.
frame that
I think that the
correctly.
dating apps can harden a lot of us, and there are a lot of negative things that are out there. So when I say trash, I don't mean like people are of no value as humans, but not good for you. So you're kind of like at the end of it where I'm worried that you're almost too nice or you're too worried about hurting people's feelings at your own expense because dating is a process where people are going to get rejected. It's just part of it. It is what it is. Most first dates do not result in second dates. And they shouldn't because think about it. Like, you're looking for a person that matches you, like your life partner. Everyone is not going to be your life partner. So I feel like it's all about how you say it. You can end something in a way that is graceful and respectful and not hurting people's feelings and wishing them the best. That might sound like horrible and scary to you because you don't want to let them
I
down.
literally just zoned out for a second. Like, I
Oh
didn't
my
wanna
gosh.
hear it.
Yes, yes. So I don't know. I don't know if you ever worked on this in therapy or coaching, but I might suggest looking at it because it is a block that, okay, put it this way. I mean, I work with a lot of men. I've been doing matchmaking mostly with male clients for over 20 years. Trust me when I say they do not care. They do not care if they talk to you for 20 or 30 minutes and then you say we're not a fit. They might have been disappointed. They might get their ego bruised a little, especially if they're sensitive to rejection. This isn't to say that you are not special. Even if they felt a connection with you, they may be bummed. But at the end of the day, if they're looking for their partner, they're like, okay, well, she wasn't it. That sucks. On to the next. Like, men marry quickly after divorce, quicker than women. They move on. Like, I have people that their matchmaking membership, they go on a date, the woman rejects them. They're like, "Okay, who do you have next?" Like, so I guess I'm seeing the other side of it that you're not privy to seeing, not being a matchmaker. And
Oh
I
my
would
god.
say a lot of men do not care. They're not fragile in that way that you may think, and they're not going to get
That's a
as hurt
relief.
as you think. Like, it's not going to ruin their life if they're mentally stable. Let's put it that way.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna say something that has zero relevance or value for anybody, but it's just funny. So I have this impulse that whenever I reject someone, I need to leave them with some life lesson. Like,
No.
if I can give them something of that, like, I can improve the world. So, like, but I've gotten really fine-tuned, so I only say one thing. So the last guy said, "I can't date you because you smoke cigarettes." And I'm thinking, "Maybe I'll quit." And then the guy before that, "I can't date you because you drink too much alcohol." You know? So I always need to leave my little my little lesson.
Absolutely.
Apparently that's a woman
Just
thing to try.
10%, like I said, I do feel like it all comes from a genuine place. You can always soften the blow of the rejection. Like, hey, if you know someone else that's a fit for them, you could say, like, you're great, but I don't think we're a fit, but I have a friend. Like, honestly, if you say you have a friend to set them up with and it's an attractive friend, again, they don't care. I'm telling you, like, they'll be happy to meet
I've
your friend.
never in my life met a man who I would not wanna date that I would recommend to a friend,
Okay.
ever. The
That's
only exception would be if my friend wanted casual sex and he wanted casual sex.
that makes
That's the
sense.
only exception.
Yeah.
If a guy is kind, I wanna date him and relatively
That's it.
attractive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So, okay, there's oh my gosh, there's so much great stuff here, and you're so fun to talk to that I feel like I'm
Thank
just
you.
jumping in a million directions.
Same to you.
So all right, so here we are. Okay, so here I am looking for someone. I'm really always revving myself up because it's just a lot of revving up to be doing over the last 25 years of trying to meet someone. It's just constant, like it's this constant process of revving up, revving up, revving up.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering if there's some way that I could make this process a little bit more efficient. I mean, you've started to kind of get to know me a little bit. I do, I'm meeting all these matchmakers, I'm going on dates, I think I'm getting more clarity on what I want. Yeah, I would really love any kind of suggestions you have on kind of time boxing it, making it a little bit more efficient.
I guess I think that you should refine your criteria a little and get really solid on who is a match for you. Because, like what you were just saying about wanting, to go out with whoever is kind, they can be kind, but still not that gem for you. So I go back to that. Like, so getting in touch with like what you really need for the guy to be. What qualities does he have to have? And really like visualizing what your relationship will be. I can speak to this because I am a mom and a solo mom, as you mentioned. I had my daughter. I did
Yeah.
IVF. I used a donor. It's not for the faint of heart. It's amazing. It's been a rewarding journey. You might potentially do that, right? Like you have frozen eggs. So I can give you
Sure.
this advice from someone who has done that. You want to have someone supportive by your side because that can really take a toll on a relationship, especially if it happens sooner rather than later. So, what kind of guy would make you feel? I mean, this comes from you to deal with like the stress of that, but what kind of guy would make you feel calmer and supported and loved throughout that process? And then, it is like not, again, not for the faint of heart to have a baby, like to give birth to a baby and then be postpartum. Like a million things could go wrong, like not to to scare you or anything, but you have this baby and now you're with this guy. Like, women get postpartum depression, they get anxiety, they don't feel like themselves. What is your partner going to look like in that stage? How is he
Tall,
going to
dark,
treat
and
you?
handsome.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah.
Um, but is he helping you? Is he in the labor and delivery room with you? Is he advocating? Are you aligned health wise? Is he making like decisions? Is he able to speak on your behalf if you can't? Like, thinking the worst. And then what does that postpartum look like? Is he really helpful? Is he taking a paternity leave? Is he staying up and changing diapers? Or is he like a hands-off kind of dad?
Yeah.
And what does it look like? Like right now you have your own company, like do you plan on working? Do you plan on being a stay-at-home mom? Like kind of like working through those things. And is this guy a guy that's going to be a provider and say to you, no, I want you to, if you want to stay home, I support that. I will, be the breadwinner for a couple years, like raise the kids on your own. Or does he expect you to work? Do you want to work? Like, do you want to travel? Do you want to live near his family? Do you want his family far away in another country with no influence on your parenting style? Like there's so many things to kind of unpack and get detailed about. And so I feel like you could do, and maybe you have, and we're just talking here briefly, but have you thought those things through? If you haven't, I would write like a real statement, like a vision statement of what your relationship is going to look like if you meet the guy now? How do you want it to progress? What would your timeline be?
Yeah.
Like there's men that I work with that really want to have kids. I can think of one now who's 48 years old and he's saying he wants kids, but not yet. He wants them in like 2 years. So he has to date younger. And then he has to, in his mind, go through this process where they
Yeah.
move in together, they travel together, they see how that goes, then they get engaged, then they get married, then they try to have kids. Their timelines can be different than your timeline. So, like, what's your timeline? What do you want? Like,
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
me,
Okay,
you
Rachel, I
know,
have to ask you some questions because you've given
well,
me so much
I
here.
know I'm going on, but like, I
First
think
of
you
all,
need to get
I know I
clearer.
it's so important. So first of all, I want to come back to your journey to motherhood because I think that's something I really want to talk about it. So let's put a circle around.
Okay.
But I have probably written a PhD length dissertation on my ideal partner. And so I've used so many different frameworks for doing it.
Oh, it's
Really
good.
fun. I did an exercise a whole episode where I was thinking about what are the characteristics that make my friendships really strong and trying to see how that would, manifest in a guy. I've thought about, I've read so many books. I've really done a lot of
You've
thought.
done the work.
But I do
That's great.
think that you did kind of zero in on something, which is at this point, it's like, does a bare minimum guy even exist out there? Because I feel
Mhm.
like I just go on these apps, I'm so open to changing the superficial criteria, and yet I keep on meeting these flaky guys who disappear after the second, the third, or the fourth date. I
Mhm.
give a really good first date. I think I have a pretty strong track record in going on, just like kind of getting asked on a second date. But it's
Sure.
just, I think it's the men that I'm meeting, even if they say they're interested in something long term, it's just, you meet them and
Yeah.
then it's actually, "Oh, yeah, actually, I was traumatized, and I don't know if I want a long-term relationship again," and
Ugh.
yeah.
Yeah, so for that, I would probably say screening them more beforehand is what I would suggest so
Okay.
that you don't find yourself on dates with people. Like, I would ask them direct, straight up, like, do you plan on getting married again? Are you open to getting married again? If you ask it before they have any emotional attachment or investment into you, they'll give you more honest answer, I think, most people.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know we're actually almost out of time. I'm
We're
happy
almost
to
out
answer
of time, oh my gosh, okay, so, yes.
last
Great. Well,
question.
is there
Go ahead.
anything I mean, it's really lovely, we didn't get to go so much into your journey through
That's
IVF
okay.
and motherhood, but it's so inspiring that you did that, and I know you've told
Thank
me
you.
you're really happy with your choice. So, is there anything Um, we didn't touch upon today that you think is really important to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, I wanna leave people with some hope here. I know that, like, people seem to think it gets harder when you get older, but it's hard at any age. Like, it's hard for young women too, to find men that take them seriously, to find men that are established. So try to, like, get rid of those, like, scripts that you have in your head about, like, why dating is so hard, and just realize that it only takes one person, and we all know someone who's met someone on these horrible dating apps. And
Sure.
in real life in other ways. So it doesn't matter where you meet them. If you want the relationship, as long as you meet them, that's what matters. And it doesn't matter when you meet them either, actually. I know like people have their timelines as we said, but you could do things like, even for the women that want kids, like, my ex-boyfriend didn't want more children and I broke
Mm,
up with him and decided to have a baby on my own because I didn't want to wait. I was in my mid 30s at the time.
yeah,
But there's a whole world. There's embryo adoption, there's fostering, there's adoption, there's using your eggs and other sperm. Like there's so many options available today if you really want to have children and go that path. So my advice to women would be like women like you that want this, don't just settle for someone to get married and have kids. Like, don't just settle for the first person that wants that with you unless he's the right guy for you, because you
yeah.
may be happier in the long run if you wait until you find the right partner.
Amazing. So if you wanna work with Rachel, you can go to rachelrusso.com. She does matchmaking. She helps women find love. She's, as you can tell, an absolutely wonderful, kind, brilliant person with so much knowledge that we basically just scratched the surface of. She has 2 decades of experience. And Rachel, I mean, I just think this interview speaks for itself. You're such a joy to
Thank
talk
you.
to. Is there anything those people should know about using your services that, could
Yeah, you anyone is welcome to fill out a complimentary profile and to be a part of my database. It's no cost. If I have a client for them, we'd be able to set them up at no cost.
I'm signing up.
Sign up, please.
Wonderful.
I'll see who I have for you. And if anyone is interested in becoming a client, I do offer a complimentary consultation, like a brief consultation, and talk about different price points for coaching and matchmaking. If I can't work with you directly, I'm very well connected and can refer you to someone else who's like the right matchmaker for you. So I'm open to that. And yeah, I'd love to hear from some people and get their thoughts on this
Amazing.
episode here.
And do you
So
work
thank you
all
again
over
for having me.
Yeah,
It
of
was so
course.
fun.
Do you work all over the world or mostly in the New York City
I
area?
focus on New York City Tri-state for matchmaking, but I am connected with matchmakers globally. So I do make the referrals and collaborations throughout the US and a lot like in Europe as well. And coaching, I can coach anyone anywhere, like, the beauty of the technology. Mm.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much again, Rachel, and I'm so happy to meet you and to
You
spark a
too.
new friendship. So thanks so
You
much for
too.
coming on the show.
Looking forward.